So the game really of the weekend, and it's the good guys against the bad guys. It's the Brooklyn Nets, the villains of the NBA, lost yesterday to Boston. And, Kyrie Irving's flipping fans off and all that stuff. It is really the perfect encapsulation of Kyrie Irving this weekend. He's an otherworld talent. He's a freak. I mean, he's the best small finisher I've ever seen in my life. I've been watching the NBA since the early 70s. He lets fans get into his head despite the fact he wants to be the villain, and then he tried to justify it after. That's all you need to know about Kyrie Irving. But what we have in this series is really two different basketball cultures. If it was a movie, Boston would be Hoosiers if those guys in the movie could play. Defense, intensity, they care, there's chemistry, they've got a star player, they make sure there's ball screens. They're always trying to get Tatum loose. They've got guys that overachieved in the draft. They're good for basketball. The Nets, if they were a movie, they'd be Boiler Room. Let's make some money and leave somebody else to deal with our mess. It's ego. Defense is optional. I'm not even sure if they have plays. Kyrie Irving and KD, it's just like, get a bucket. I'm not sure they're particularly well coached. I'm not sure they want plays. As you know, though, I tend to like tire fires. So Boston is good. Boston winning is good for basketball. So was Hoosiers. And Brooklyn is good for drama. And I can't take my eyes off them. Everything about Boston, last couple of seconds, even the final play, passing and teamwork and unselfish. But it's interesting. When KD left the Warriors, he wasn't just leaving Steph. He was leaving kind of the LA Rams of the NBA, a really smart GM and a really smart coach and a really smart culture. And there was accountability. And you could go there to rehab your image. And like Steph Curry, he's a guy that doesn't even have to start over the weekend. He didn't just leave a player. He left a culture. And Brooklyn is the opposite of the Warriors. Chemistry, defense, accountability, And I find myself watching KD and Kyrie and thinking they're succeeding despite themselves. And I'm not even sure if they're succeeding, because if they get bounced in this round, that's a massive disappointment. And I like watching them play. But, when you choose to be a villain, LeBron he didn't even really mean to. Like he gave $1 million to a boys and girls club when he had that big decision. It was clumsy. He didn't want to be a villain. But after a year of being the villain, LeBron's like, I don't like being a villain. I don't like this. Kyrie and KD have chosen to be the villain, and they don't like the shrapnel and the pitfalls of it. You're going to get heckled. People are going to be on you. KD's sensitive. We know that. Kyrie hears everything. We know that. And he reacts to everything. So if you choose that path in life to agitate, shocking. You're going to get hecklers. Nobody was heckling Jordan and the Bulls. Nobody heckles the Suns. Nobody's heckling Milwaukee. They just ignore it. They're not trying to agitate people. Well, Charles Barkley, by the way, was an agitator. So I still like Brooklyn in the series. I'm probably out of my gourd. But when you choose a path in life, you got to deal with the pratfalls of it. So now let's talk about the team KD left, the Warriors. And I just referenced this. They're the LA Rams of the NBA. Really smart GM, really smart coach. Awesome culture. They always seem to find money that nobody else has. They draft and develop really well. And they make odd players and weird players and old players all fit. This Warriors team gives you the full range of their culture. Let's start with Andrew Wiggins. People are like, he wasn't a bust, but he was a big underachiever. What do you do with Andrew Wiggins? He goes to the Warriors. He just made his first All-Star team. He's become hyper efficient. He's one of the league's most efficient players now. He's a wonderful fit. Then there's old Draymond Green. He gets hurt a little. Is he past his prime? Is he worth the money? Seems like to me he's the best defensive player in the league. He's reestablished his brand. How about Jordan Poole? Classic Warriors. 28th pick. He wasn't a one-and-done guy. Nobody thought he'd ever be a lottery player. And look at him this year. He is emerging as one of the league's brightest young stars. And there's Klay Thompson. 2 ugly injuries, missed 2 years, comes back, hard work, rehabs, here he is. And by the way, Jordan Poole is about ready to take all their jobs, and he loves him. And then there's Steph, cherry on top, Steph. See what Steph did this weekend? Yeah, I've been injured. I don't need to start. I'll come off the bench. Oh, excuse me? When that was suggested to Russell Westbrook, he was outraged by it. When Melo, way past his prime, when it was suggested he comes off the bench, didn't know what to do with it. Steph Curry's like a 2-time MVP, 3 titles. He's like, I've been injured. Jordan Poole's playing great. This Warrior team is the full collection, the full range of what they are. A draft and develop guy, an old tough guy who reestablishes his brand, a guy off an injury, Steph Curry stepping back and being unselfish, the emerging star in Jordan Poole. They put in the death lineup yesterday where it's like nobody's over 6'6". They run up and down the floor, and Jokic looked exhausted at that game over the weekend. But I like what they stand for. And what's interesting, so this Jordan Poole kid is really good, really fast, and watch out. And if you're Klay Thompson, you could be saying, who's this kid over my shoulder? Like, they're not paying him anything. He could take my job. And yet, after the win, smart people create smart cultures. And the great thing about a thoughtful culture, Rams and Warriors, is look how many different personalities can fit in that culture. Rams can take in Jalen Ramsey. They can take in a guy like Dante Fowler we thought was a bust. They can bring in OBJ. They can bring in a quarterback on a losing culture. Everything works. Everything works for the Rams. Same with the Warriors. The old guy, the hurt guy, the emerging star guy, the draft and develop guy. It just kind of works. Everybody for everybody else. The opposite, of course, of Brooklyn, which I maintain is still a fascinating watch. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.